If the call to action on your sales page sounds like buy now, join today, or your landing pages all say submit this form, this video is for you. One of the sneaky things that can have over a 42% impact on conversions is call to actions. And I know it sounds so small because it's literally a small button, but the way that you communicate your offer and the point where they're trying to hover over whether or not to buy is the thing that can help people feel like you get them or that you just phoned it in. I'll show you the main call to action formulas that you can use today, including a free tool that you can use to create yours in seconds based off your offer and your audience type. Let's get into it. Talk about buttons. I know that this is something that feels so basic, especially if you've created a lot of sales pages or landing pages over many different offers you've had in your business. But I have to talk about this because when I try to avoid like the small hacks, which I really try to do, because at the end of the day, yes, not every little small thing you do will be a massive difference, but there's actual stats on this, which is that personalized call to actions convert 42% more visitors than generic ones. I have this entire document linked down below if you want to use it for yourself. I just wanted to walk you through this and selfishly not have to edit as much by giving you something like this where you can use it for your own reference. So if you like this, comment down below. It would help me out and let me know what my editor should be focusing on. So with that said, let's talk about why the buy now isn't working. So we see this in a lot of different parts of both the checkout page itself, but sales page. The checkout page, you have a little bit more grace, I would say. Like if you're at the checkout page where it has all the information about your offer, and they click that button to then go to your checkout page, the checkout page button itself doesn't have to be a night or day difference, but it can really help. So you can use this upcoming free tool that I mentioned later on in the video for every single page. But what matters most is your sales page. And the reason why a lot of people stick with, if you look down here, this is like a very common one that's used in Kajabi, but it's like the blank template, which is just the word submit if it is for a free guide or landing page. And then the other ones, sign up now or enroll now. Those are the main ones that you see. And actually, you still see them on some pretty big names sales pages like Amy Porterfield. But what's interesting about this is that we're in this age now where this used to work. Submit and sign up. And these still can work if your offer is so enticing that they're like, yes, immediately, I need it. That can still work. It's either you have a great loyal audience who will buy anything you do, no matter what your page looks like or sounds like, or you have a really unique and highly relevant offer people are clicking and buying. But if you're at this point in the video, or you even clicked on it in the first place, then you're probably needing to increase conversions or sales in some way. One of the easiest things is looking at the button, because the thing that people forget about is what CTAs are. They are a call to action to the consumer to know what action to take and why it matters. And the why it matters often gets forgotten. It's just because people are so used to, again, we're time crunched entrepreneurs or business owners. We just kind of like throw things up. Or maybe you hired a sales page designer who had a template for you, but then forgot to update stuff on the copy. Or maybe you just left it there for a while because, again, just life and you just forgot about it. But if we're trying to optimize things, then what matters most is not just adding something like this, because your people need a reason to click. If you don't already have a massive loyal audience yet, or your offer, whatever it is, free or otherwise, is not super enticing to where they're going to click immediately, you can tell that based on your conversion rate, whether it's a sales conversion rate or opt-in conversion rate. Knowing that, this is an easy thing you can do within seconds. And what I want to urge you when you're thinking about buttons and call to actions is, why are we having them? Why are they wanting this in the first place? And you would think that a lot of the copy around the page is doing the work for you, which it is. It's helping you give solid evidence. But when you're not making even these parts connected to the why, they're going to click off. It's not because they don't want it. They just don't know why it matters so much. Because right now we're in the age, and we've been in the age for a while, of competing with people's attention spans. But now we're competing with people's priority levels. Because if we can't make this a high enough priority for them, and this does not mean trying to like stab them with pain points. It just means we need to make sure we find how to communicate this that shows the transformation, the why of it, even in the button. Because people are becoming more and more discerning about the offers that they buy, especially if you have something over $500, $1,000. This is really, really, really important. So when it comes to the call to action buttons, there's 4 main formulas. They hit the main points of emotional, problem aware, future vision, urgency, and clarity. These are like the topics that we're trying to hit. The actual formulas are put inside of the free tool down below, but I want to go over 2 main ones you can use depending on if your buyer is more emotional or logical? If you're not quite sure, you might ask, how do I figure that part out? I do have a questionnaire I give all my clients, but if you're trying to figure that out, I always look back to if you've gotten DMs, replies, if you talked on sales calls with people, what are the main objections or how do they normally buy? If you are a coach or someone where you're giving someone something that you had gone through, you can try and mirror it to yourself, but I tend to avoid people doing that too much because there is a line between people who buy from you that are going to be similar to you and those who aren't. You're going to have every type of buyer in your audience, but I do find that there are a lot more that lean towards either side. There seems to be more lean towards the emotional in certain niches and more of the logical in other ones. So that's why I'm not going to be able to give you like, if you have this exact offer, choose this, but the free tool can, because I actually trained the entire tool to ask you what your offer type is, the type of audience you have, and so forth. So that way I can have that answer for you versus me trying to give you a best guess on this video, because you deserve having more personalized solutions for you. The first formula we're going to go over is the match the emotion. You've probably heard or seen before where it's talking about the feeling, because again, if you have more of a feeling type buyer, then really having that button reaffirm that this is going to help them to feel that way or not feel a certain painful feeling is so impactful. It's so much more impactful than just saying submit. So having something like this where it's like, I want to, it's that feeling and it's a specific thing. And then there's the I tried, I feel, I need. What you're really doing here is building empathy and resonance, especially if you're in the space that is some spiritual or wealth or wellness space. This can be a really great button to start with. You're not just solving a problem, but you're helping them create a feeling and you're helping meet them where they are or help them to aspire to where they want to be. And this can be especially effective if they are overwhelmed, frustrated, or emotionally fatigued. In the current space we're in, there's a huge trend building more and more online around nervous system or even neurodivergent based stuff focused on people who are naturally chronically overwhelmed or emotionally fatigued. Using feeling based words or matching the emotion here can really help them feel like you are seeing them, even in these buttons, to show that you truly are the guide for them. Like you see them at every single point rather than phoning it in and letting the button kind of just be what it is. So the thing I always like to look for, like I mentioned, I'm a huge proponent of buyer data. It's how I created my buyer site method and what I use for a lot of my clients. But it's always looking for what your people are saying, the in between the lines, where there's those quiet complaints in their reviews, the comments, DMs, call scripts, looking for the common patterns that they have. And a really cool thing you can do is put all that information into a word cloud generator and see what is the biggest word coming up around the emotions and lean more into that for your main call to action. Here's an example of what it would be like to have a good match the emotion. So this is very specific. Like I want to drink wine on the balcony, which helps show more of that desire. It's a specific type of feeling that's linked to a scene. The other one that's very specific is I tried, I'm stuck, I need help. I'm not a huge fan of that one just because it can feel very much like stabby pain. But in case you are in a place where you're helping someone who is just like chronically tired, this can be really helpful. This first one is really good for those who have more emotional buyers or you're at a space where your people are starting more drained or more skeptical. The other one is the exact next step. The first one's going really big picture, almost vague in a way where it's like, show me the emotion, show me the future. This is the exact next step, which is really helpful, especially if you're in business or tech space. You see this a lot for software-based stuff because they're having to try and get people into free trials and so forth. So having something like this where it is a direct verb with a benefit or result can be really helpful. It's match me with this person, show me this result or data, start with this micro action, meant to reduce friction. Because you see a lot of times, especially if you're a service provider, there'll be something like get started here, have a consult is still pretty vague. Book your consult is more specific. That in itself is a little bit more of an exact next step, or book a consult. So this is something where you can match it with a verb. And I really recommend not saying things like submit or learn more, like I mentioned, because it's not giving people an exact next step like they need. If you see it on every type of product or software, they're doing step 1, step 2, step 3, because we are inherently very overwhelmed people. We see more data and content in one day than people saw 50 years ago in their entire lifetime. We're having to work against a lot of people's natural fatigue or just general tiredness. So if you can help them by giving them just the next step, you're actually making it easier for them to buy or to sign up rather than trying to continue pushing them in vague get started. Their brain's going to wonder and spend more calories thinking, what is the next step? What does get started look like? An example of a good action step is match me with my dev. So this is for the developer, or show me my heat map. If you're doing like more of a heat map service, this can be dependent based on what your entire like business is about or offers about. If you want to put down your offer below, it can help you brainstorm there. But I always think it's important to talk about also the placements of call to actions, and that you actually need more than just one main call to action phrase on your page. So you'll see this where there's a match me with a dev, show me my heat map. These ones here are one phrase. On a sales page especially, you can leave it be if it's for a waitlist page, but for a sales page, you should have at least 2 or 3 different phrases on your sales page that are following the level of awareness and stage they're in. A lot of people will start with like Amy Porterfield, who has a huge course called List Builder Society, has hers say enroll now. Now, the issue, like I mentioned before, is that she's able to do that because she has such a huge audience. She even puts right next to that button, over 28,000 people have joined. You can definitely play around with this, and it's always going to be a case-by-case basis. If you're in a place to optimize, the best thing you can do is have each one of your buttons, or at least every 3 sections, have a different button that says a different thing for 2 reasons. First, because you really need to make your sales page more like a story arc. I mentioned this a little bit more in a separate video, but your sales page should be like a story arc, starting from getting them hooked in all the way down to making them feel seen, partnering with them in their vision, showing them what is possible, going into more of the whys, making it feel realistic for them versus just like too good to be true, going over their objections, all that kind of stuff. So in that story arc, there needs to be a button that makes sense with what that story arc is conveying. The first couple of sections that nearly every sales page talks about is the above the fold section, where it's the tagline, the headline. Having something that's more related to their problem is most important here, versus later in the sales page going more for their desire or the next action step when they're more bought in. If they've read halfway through your sales page, they're more willing to do that exact next action step. And then at the end can be more of an objection busting type of call to action. And all 4 of these I do actually give inside of the free call to action generator tool that you can get here. It's a ChatGPT bot that I custom created. It is something that can help you for each part of that sales page. So if you are doing something where you're trying to optimize your page, having that become the story arc. And the second reason why is because if you're using something like Hotjar, Microsoft Clarity, you can actually see which buttons they're clicking on the most. And if they're clicking on the more of the micro action one versus the problem one, or more of the objection busting, you can double down for your next launch or next push and add more of that language in. So it actually gives you more insight than just having one phrase on your page. Now I've been giving you the strongest case in my entire life for having a personalized call to action button. If you want to, in the description, you can find this Google Doc here. It'll take you to this ChatGPT guide that I created here. All you have to do is press the button, fill out the prompts that it is. And I even made sure to give it something that is not just for a sales page, it's for a landing page, a checkout page email. It'll have you talk about your offer type. It'll have you talk about your audience. And then from there, choose the 2 best of the 4 formulas based off of your offer and your audience type. So you can have it in seconds. I've used it for all of my pages. My clients love it. My students love it. It's just so easy to use. And we don't need to spend more of our brain calories on this. We have enough on our plate as business owners. If you have any questions, let me know down below. But hopefully I gave you a strong enough argument to why this matters and a solution that you can use within 2 seconds to make it easier for yourself. So make it easier for you and your people to buy. You want to get your own call to action text buttons that you can create in seconds? Use my free ChatGPT generator below. You can use it on any page, sales page, landing page, email, whatever it is. It will help you generate the text that your people need to help them feel like you understand them, reassure them before they say yes. So have fun with it and happy selling.